Okay, yeah, we're live. I didn't even.
Let me hop on the Twitch.
He's a cunning leader.
Oh.
Another time, my brother and
Oh,
he
no, what?
Hachi were fighting.
Mute? Am I hosting somebody? What is going on? Okay. I had my Twitch open and it was like, you were hosting somebody. Like, no, I'm not. Really, I went live. Well done. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Geekdom podcast. I'm joined again this week by Nate. How you doing, Nate?
Pretty good, guys.
We got some news this week. This wasn't the biggest week in news, I guess is the best way to say it, but we found some things to talk about.
A little bit.
Yeah. But the first thing I'm gonna just go ahead and hop into it is Cuphead is now out on PS4 with the stealth launch that they did on Tuesday. Well, it was supposed to be much more stealthy, but people where the PlayStation Store updates at different times around the world, people in like Australia found out 10 hours before it launched in the US that it was coming. So, but they also announced that they're getting a Netflix animated show.
Wait, Cuphead is?
Yes.
I didn't see that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, that's needed to happen for a while now.
Yeah, it's same animation style, everything. So,
right, I mean...
They didn't have a date on it when they talked about it.
Are they going to use the artists from the game, or are they going to employ new artists?
See, I don't know. They showed a little bit of footage, but
Okay.
it looks just like the game.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
That's
very
cool.
much so the game. But I always thought it was interesting that it would even launch on PlayStation 4 to begin with, because I thought that Microsoft owned the rights to the game. And it turned out I am in fact wrong.
No, I thought so too. I mean, that was kind of the implication we were all given, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically what they kept, because they kept saying for the longest time that, oh, what other platforms is it coming to? Will it come to PlayStation 4? No, this game is exclusive to Xbox and PC. And then we got the Switch release late last year. But we thought it was one of those things where Microsoft has been teaming with Nintendo. They put Ori on there too, so we just thought it was all same thing, But it turns out that MHDR, the studio that makes Cuphead, even though Microsoft published the first game on those consoles, and I actually don't think Microsoft's name is on the PS4 version. But yeah, because whenever you load into like Minecraft, it will it'll do it shows Microsoft on it, even on PlayStation 4, but it doesn't show it on PS4 for Cuphead that I saw. But yeah, apparently I was finally able to clarify this after about 45 minutes of digging. The studio quite a while back said that no, they own the Cuphead franchise, but Microsoft had like a licensing deal for the first game. So I'm interested to see, like, did the licensing deal finally run out and they were able to put it on other things, but they never really said. So,
I mean, that's probably what it is. That's what I'd imagine it is. But no, that's great, man. I love Cuphead. It's probably one of the... It's like Dark Souls, but side-scroller and funny.
No,
So.
yeah, that's definitely a very poignant way to put it. But the trophy list, people, I thought it would be like the same, like, super grindy trophy list that was, on PC and Xbox. That's a different list. They removed, so I only have to get S rank on one boss. That's the
Okay.
Where before, I believe on the PC and Xbox version, you had to S rank all of them for an achievement.
Yeah, probably.
But on PS4, you only have to S rank one of them. Now you have to A rank, I think, all of them. But
that's easy.
Yeah. But to me, that's not even the hardest trophy in the game. The hardest trophy is the pacifist one, which was also on the old ones, which is beating, I think it's all the bosses without like killing them, basically. Because they have the little like pink balls that you can parry or whatever.
Yeah.
And I guess when you parry them, they go back at them, I think, or something like that. It's basically beating the levels without killing anything. There are ways to do it. I've seen videos on it.
I didn't know you could kill bosses without killing them.
That's. I'm pretty sure that's how I saw it. I watched The Completionist whenever it came out on Xbox and PC. Him and Strippin played it together, and they did that pacifist run.
That's cool. I'll have to look into that. I may have to do that actually, just to do it.
Yeah. So it would be that one trophy that would stop me from going, yeah, I ain't doing that.
Right.
But,
not worth.
Yeah. But, for $20, why not get it and enjoy it, I guess. If you don't already, yeah.
I mean, it's a good game. I just wish they would have put in co-op that wasn't only LAN.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But I get what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Couch gaming is huge, or it should be huge, and I think they kind
it
of
was once huge, and now not as
Yeah.
much anymore. Yeah, there's very few games anymore that do couch co-op. You got like Gang Beats, still does it, and Diablo 3 on the consoles does it, up to 4 players on one console.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was actually one of the big selling points whenever the PS4 version of that game came out. I remember Total Biscuit being like, "This is the version of the game to play," because you could just sit down and bash out a bunch of levels with your friends, playing at your house, drinking, having a good time. But yeah, it's nice to see it back out there. And hopefully, this paves the way that Cuphead 2 will probably be on everything.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I can't wait for that game either.
Well, I imagine that game's actually a ways off because they're working on DLC for Cuphead.
Right.
And they still didn't have a timetable for the DLC other than, say, probably the next 6 months or so.
Right.
So, we'll see how that turns out, and I might have to, give the game a go again. But our next
I'll be your coach.
Yeah, and be like, no, Joe, don't jump at the bullets. Jump away from the bullets. Be like, no, I can take that bullet head on. You watch.
You can 3 times.
Yeah. But our next bit of news, I just thought was really neat. Not a lot of some sites reported on this, not a lot of them. So I wanted to kind of speak on it. So, Metal Gear 5 has achieved nuclear disarmament. Yeah, so whenever you're playing that game, you could set, if you play like online, basically people can invade your base, and one of the way you protect your base is with a nuclear device that you could just set off. But people can come into your bases, attack, and disarm your nukes. And there was always a hidden cutscene that was meant to play after all the nukes in the game were disarmed, and oddly enough, out of all the versions to achieve this was the PlayStation 3 version. Which I was like, wow, I wonder what the player base is like on PlayStation 3 that, they were able to go in and take everybody out and disarm all the nukes.
I wonder, I'm sure it hasn't. Did it say how long they'd been trying to do that?
No, they didn't say specifically how long they've been grinding at it or anything, but I'm sure it wasn't a short amount of time because like they said, right after they achieved it and the special cutscene played, right after that, there was already 30 new nukes out in the field. So.
No, it actually says it took 5 years of coordinated effort.
I mean, that's crazy. That's a long time. Yeah. But, I'm glad that they were able to do it. I think it's cool. The cutscene has been seen before. Several years ago on the PC version, the cutscene randomly played one day when everybody was logging in, even though they were nowhere near nuclear disarmament.
Right.
It was a bug in the game that they had to go in and patch. So, and I think it had been data mined even before that. So the cutscene has been seen before, but no one had ever legitimately achieved it.
It's pretty cool though, man.
Yeah.
I mean, 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't play anything for 5 years.
I couldn't play. I mean, I've played Rocket League for 5 years, but that would like be playing only one specific game mode in one specific way for 5 years.
Yeah.
Because like, if you're coordinating to disarm every nuke, that's like your only goal in the game. That's all you're doing anytime you're playing.
Yeah.
It would drive anybody crazy.
Oh, I 100% agree with that. Oh man, excuse me. But our next bit of news is just an update on some of the leaks. So Resident Evil Village, for the people who don't know, that game leaked before the PlayStation 4 event, a couple of months before, and people were like, if these are true, this is cool, but, probably not true. And then we saw the trailer at the event, and the trailer basically confirmed 80% of what was leaked.
Yeah.
And biohazardcast.com has been compiling all the information as it leaks. And I have to say, like, the game sounds really interesting. We know there's werewolves. People thought, we'd heard the rumor of witches, and some of the women in the game look like they're kind of like a witchy cult.
Yeah.
And, we know for a fact Chris Redfield very much so appears to be the bad guy in this one.
You shoot somebody in the head, you kind of imply that, yeah.
Yeah. But he did say he's sorry first, so it might be one of those, he's the bad guy, but at the end, I'm sure there's some sort of redemption for Chris Redfield. I just wish they had learned to animate the guy the same way from game to game.
I know.
Like, Leon looks the same in every game. Chris Redfield looks nothing alike from one game to the next. It's weird.
He's got natural camouflage.
Apparently, the man's a chameleon. He just changes from engine to engine.
Yep.
But,
oh man, pretty vastly too.
Yeah, but that game comes out in February, I believe.
I think so. Yeah.
It's either late January or early February, and so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Resident Evil 7 was huge for them. It basically gave new life to the franchise that was slowly dying after 5 and 6. So
I don't know, man. I'm just not big into horror movies or games. At that point, I'm a bitch, I guess, when it comes to horror games.
Yeah.
So I played through a lot of 7. I just couldn't finish it because again.
Yeah. That game is very jump scary. Like,
oh my god!
Like, it's not Outlast 2 bad levels of jump scary where you just throw down the controller and you're like, fuck it, I'm done. I'm not playing it anymore.
I tried to play that too. Yeah.
Like, that game is like the king of the random ass jump scare. Like, they constantly build for them, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this one goes. I made it through Resident Evil 7 once. I always kept saying I was going to go back and play it in VR, but
that's a great idea.
Well, you lay some plastic in the floor and you get a bucket and you just you go at it and see how it goes.
I don't know. I would like to try a horror game in VR. As much as I just literally said I can't play them, I would still like to try it.
PlayStation 4, PSVR has a ton of them. There's a short one. There's an Exorcist one that's episodic, and cool. There is a Paranormal Activity one.
That's also cool.
Yeah, I bought all of them. I was going to stream them, I think, last year at Halloween, and I never got around to it. So maybe that would be something I do this year.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But we'll see how that goes. Like, Joe played Resident Evil and just died.
I wish you luck, sir.
But our next bit of news, most of the stuff we've got this week, guys, are just quick hits. We're literally 15 minutes into the podcast, and we're halfway through our show run. Like we've got a big thing for the end, so but Sekiro has sold 5 million units, which is great for those guys.
Oh yeah, it is
And
definitely.
kind of, I guess, as a thank you, we're getting a big update in October, and it's going to include like a boss rush mode,
Hmm.
and I think there's another mode that's not quite boss rush, but you can go through and pick individual bosses to fight.
Oh yeah,
You know, which I imagine, if you, well, with the, you have to have beaten the boss in the game first before you can do
right.
that. But yeah, yeah, because that'd be weird to be like, okay, I'm coming up on the boss fight. I'm gonna go ahead and save and back out, go into this other
Let me go
mode,
practice.
and let me go practice the boss. Yeah, but good for that team. 5 million units is nothing to sneeze at these days, and hopefully, I'd imagine we'll get a Sekiro, however you decide to say it, 2 somewhere down the line.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. A cool thing I really enjoyed about that too is they put the remnant system they put in. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like Dark Souls system that they have,
Mm-hmm.
where you can just troll the fuck out of people by putting notes on the ground. They're like, "Oh, I'm gonna believe this guy." Off the edge you go, and nothing's there.
That
Thanks Dark
one,
Souls
that
3.
yeah, Dark Souls 3. That jump off this edge for a secret treasure right there in the first area of the game. Yeah, I think that
Every
shows up
time,
in everybody's game. Yeah.
every time.
But that game didn't get any DLC either, did it?
What game?
Sekiro.
No, no, not that I'm aware of. I mean, I guess this is technically
Yeah,
DLC.
yeah, it's free DLC. No, it's just this free update
Yeah.
and some outfits. Yeah,
I mean, it's adding a game mode.
yeah,
It's adding a remnant system. I mean that's DLC to me. When
yeah.
you add something that big to the game, that's
DLC to
definitely
me.
DLC.
When
So,
you,
and
yeah,
it comes out in October 29th, which is great.
yeah. But yeah, I thought that was unusual for them when you look at their history with Dark Souls.
Right.
Every Dark Souls game got especially 3. 3 got DLC'd to death. Like
God, yeah.
Bloodborne got that nice big chunky DLC,
Yeah.
and they've been, which I guess they're working on that Elden Ring game. But I've always felt like they're able to work on a couple of, like, that studio is big enough to work on a couple of things at a time.
Yeah, they should be.
No, and
Um One thing I am super excited about the boss rush mode though is the speed
yeah,
runs.
speedrunners will absolutely love that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be great. It'll be a whole new category, and I'm sure that category will get a lot of light because it just seems fun.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% agree with that. Because whenever games like that get those type of modes, like, that's always what the speedrunners start going to. That's basically how they speedrun Shadow of the Colossus now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. But our next bit of news is probably something something we'll definitely be able to talk about more next week. But Marvel's Avengers is getting a beta that starts on the 4th on PlayStation 4.
oh yeah.
And I think it starts like a week after that on PC and Xbox. But it looks like it's going to have quite a bit in it too. A couple of main story missions, like their training room where you can go in and try new abilities and different loadouts and stuff like that, and some open world stuff that you'll be able to play with your friends. So, and from what I understand, you'll have access to all the launch characters during the beta. So, I think in the missions you only play as, like, the 2 story missions. You only play as, like, Miss Marvel and the Incredible Hulk. But in the open section of it, you can play as anybody.
Super cool. I'm not super into Marvel or anything. But the way you described this seemed fun as fuck the other day.
Yeah.
So you made me a believer in this.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to pour some time into the beta and see if it's going to live up to what really, to be honest, like 6 months ago were pretty low expectations, but as it's gotten closer and closer, my expectations for this has really grown. So
Right. And I mean, hell, we should be able to play the beta together too.
yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But I mean, as weird as it sounds, that's all the basic news we have for this week. But
yeah, there's not a whole lot.
yeah, it was a fairly slow news week. There was a couple of things that were added after we created the show notes. I'm going to go ahead and mention them now. One of them is that they announced late last night that that the Halo multiplayer will be free to play.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're like, oh, you'll be able to play it in 120 FPS on your Xbox Series X, and you're like, yeah, but what's everybody else going to get to play it at? Are you going to cap everybody else, or and then came another rounds of, why is nobody talking about how great Game Pass is?
Right.
And you're like, no, everybody is. Shut up. But
You can't go anywhere without seeing somebody mention Xbox Game Pass.
you open Twitter whenever there's any kind of Xbox announcement, it's like Game Pass.
Game Pass.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. We get it.
Scroll for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Game Pass.
But yeah, I thought that was neat though. I think that tells me that it's probably going to have a battle pass system and
Yep.
all that stuff. You're not giving them that part of the game away for free if there's not something there.
One thing I did super enjoy is they like very blatantly said we'll never make a BR like this. We're not making a BR for this game.
I don't see. It's one of those things. I honestly don't see how one could work with Halo.
I don't either.
It would just be really weird to me. Yeah.
Like there's not enough gun differentiation. Like there's just like no loot to really pick up on the ground.
Now I could see a really cool horde mode.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Like why don't they do like a zombies type thing that Black Ops did back in the day?
Yeah. But I think they stay away from the horde mode because Gears does it so much.
Right.
Trying not to make their two biggest things too much alike, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah. But it'd be interesting. But I'm trying to think. I think that was the only extra bit of news piece that I had for this week. So
That's pretty big though.
yeah, I mean,
like,
yeah, it's absolutely a big thing, and it sounds like it'll be from day one. Like I said, we'll have to see what the monetization looks like. If it's just skins and stuff, that's perfectly fine.
right.
I'm always about you want to do skins and armor and stuff like that, but if I'm having to buy power ups and stuff like that,
No, I agree. That's kind of why I love Rocket League's thing so much, is
Yeah.
because it's literally nothing but cosmetics. I mean, Fortnite really started that whole thing,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah.
But no, I'm
Yeah.
100% for just cosmetics.
Yeah, I've always thought Fortnite really did that right.
Same.
It's all. You can say whatever you want about that game, whether you love it or hate it, but their monetization is on point.
Yeah.
If I go buy the season pass, the pass for it right now, I'm not getting any advantage over anybody else in the game.
Right.
So, but yeah, our next thing is just basically what we've been playing this week. And so, what have you been playing this week?
I've still been playing Ghost. I finally crammed through like 4 more story missions because I just keep getting lost, basically, and not in a bad way, but
No.
in a good way.
Yeah, that's one of those games where it's just okay to go get lost and
Yeah.
do whatever you want.
Like the game's beautiful. I played on a 60-inch TV, and it's like a home fucking theater. It's just so beautiful to look at. They really did great on that game. Rocket League, basically the same stuff. I haven't played World of Warcraft this week.
Oh.
So I'm gonna have to hop back into that to get my $15 worth of subscription fee.
Gotta get your money out of it somehow, right?
Yeah, it's very true.
But,
Yeah, that's about it, I think. I don't think I've played much more.
so I played Lego DC Supervillains for the backlog this week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about halfway through the game. I finished up Horizon Zero Dawn.
Nice.
Like, I was gonna go and just do full platinum on it and stuff, and I started doing the challenges, and I'm just like, these are dumb. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done.
I forgot I can play that now because I have a PlayStation.
Yeah, you do, and you happen to know somebody that has a disc if you want. And so the next game that I started out of like my cleanup games, because Horizon was technically a cleanup game, because I was like 3/4 of the way done with it.
Right.
My next cleanup game was Far Cry 5, and I've been enjoying the crap out of that.
Nice.
There's a glitch in the game to get like extra money and stuff, and I use that to get extra money and just buy all the dumb weapons. Just all the dumb weapons. Like, I'm running around killing people with a rocket launcher that doesn't shoot rockets; it shoots shovels.
Yep.
Smiley face shovels at that too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite co-op streams ever back in the day was playing Far Cry 5. I still have hilarious clips from that somewhere where I accidentally shot good guys in the face because I thought they were attacking my buddy.
Yeah.
On a bank side, and then we just went back to fishing.
Yeah, I remember so many Twitch streamers that played that game together. It was always absolute chaos.
It's great.
It was fun. Like, if you're playing like a group of 3 together, because I think you can go 3 or 4 deep on it.
Yeah.
You'd have people trying to do objectives and kill people, and then you would have like the anarchist of the group that was always like, nah, I'm gonna shoot my teammates, I'm gonna throw Molotovs in the air and try to jump through them, and just whatever I want to do,
Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, so I'll probably finish that up actually this weekend. I haven't decided what the next backlog game is for the show yet. I actually meant to put up a straw poll. I might do that tomorrow. Put up a straw poll, list like 3 games on it. But
there you go.
After I'm done cleaning up Far Cry, which I still have 2 regions left. Like, I wasn't very far in that game at all. So I still have 2 regions left to do, and after that I'm going to do Control. So, which is a game that I really enjoyed and got into for like a day, and then something big came out, and I never got back to it.
I watched, I never played that personally, but I watched one of my good friends stream it, and it looked amazing. Like, it looks like a great game.
Yeah. It's right up my alley in those type of third-person action, open-worldy type games that are, they're open-worldy, but, it's not going to take me 200 hours to complete all of it at the same time.
Right.
But, I think that's all I've really played this week. I thought I was getting a code for the Fall Guys beta, the new game that has taken over Twitch. I don't know if you've paid attention to that.
I haven't.
Okay, yeah. So it is just this weird. Imagine you're playing Gang Beast, but there's like 50 of you, and you're playing the TV show Wipeout.
What? I want to play this.
Yeah. So here's the interesting thing. It's an open beta on PC this week.
Right.
Next week on Tuesday, PlayStation Plus members are getting this game for free.
Well, I guess I need to buy PlayStation Plus.
Yeah. And they also announced the other free game for this month is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, which just came out like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And I had already purchased it, so it didn't bother me that I just think it's cool that people that didn't get that game can have it now.
Right.
And they've been like 2 out of the last 3 months have had Call of Duty games in the PlayStation Plus stuff. And I tell you, as somebody that collects games, those Call of Duty games usually don't get cheap. Okay?
Right.
You're usually like 3 years removed from it, still paying $30 for it. Is usually how it works. But yeah, so I'm happy that people are getting that one, because to me, my favorite Call of Duty of all time is Modern Warfare Remastered 2.
Modern Warfare 2 is also, well, I haven't played the remastered, but
Yeah.
Modern Warfare 2 is my favorite
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. Modern Warfare. I said remastered, but yeah, that was the first game I bought with my PlayStation 3. So,
Nice.
so it was actually it was one of those things where I went out the week before I bought my PlayStation 3, knowing I was purchasing a PlayStation 3 when payday came around, and I was like, okay, I have enough money to get 3 games. So I got Modern Warfare, I got Batman Arkham City, the first one, and Resident Evil 5.
Nice. That's a great 3 games.
But I will admit, I played Resident Evil 5 for about 30 minutes and was so annoyed by the AI teammate that I didn't touch it again for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And then I finally had a buddy sit down and be like, yeah, we'll play it co-op. And we just ran through the whole game.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say the AI in 6 was a lot better than 5.
Just a little tidbit kind of on what we talked on last week. I think we talked about Grounded last week.
Yeah.
I watched Markiplier, Bob, and Wade play that on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And my assumptions and your assumptions were correct. It's literally Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. You can see the laser.
Yeah.
Like, but no, that game looks really good. Like, just from what I've seen. I mean,
yeah, that game is available on Games Pass. Surprise.
Yeah.
So I have access to it, and I do plan to sit down with it and try it. But yeah, it's kind of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Minecraft-ish. Like, the interface is very Minecraft-ish. And it's funny watching people that are scared of spiders play that game. So I was watching It Me JP play it, and he's not a fan of spiders. And just the terrified look on his face when one jumped out at him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's like scary Minecraft is what I told somebody the other day. Somebody asked me about it. They saw a trailer or a commercial or something for it. And I was like, yeah, it's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids meets scary Minecraft.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Rust. With how the buildings look. Like old Rust.
Yeah. But, yeah, I definitely plan to check it out here at some point since, it's free to me, so. I mean, it's kind of free to me, I guess. I mean, I paid at one point.
Yeah, but I mean...
Nah.
Yeah. It's free enough.
Yeah. But, I don't think I played anything. I think I covered everything I played this week, though. Trying to think. I think I played a little bit of Paper Mario Origami King. It's a Paper Mario game. I enjoy the Paper Mario game, so I don't mind that.
I played Power Rangers on Super Nintendo. I also played Our Real Monsters on Super Nintendo.
No, see, I don't remember that one as well.
Well, it's probably not a bad thing.
Oh.
I don't know if it was me. Now, I'm not particularly terrible at video games, but I'm also not particularly great. But fuck, that game was impossible to play. Oh my god. It was rough.
There was a lot of Super Nintendo games like that back in the day, though. I remember owning the Spawn video game, and I owned it for years and never beat the first level.
Yep.
Like, I could get to the boss at the end of the first level and could never figure out how to beat him.
Yep. Good old Super Nintendo, man. Making mechanics very unintuitive.
Yeah, very much so. Very, very much so.
Yeah.
You're like, alright, I got to the boss, what do I do? figure it out. We didn't put
Good
it
luck.
We didn't put it in the manual, and we don't have a tip line, so unless it shows up in Nintendo Power in the next 3 months, you're screwed.
Yep, basically.
But the last topic we got for this week, it's a big one. So it's a meaty topic. I think this is the majority of what the show is going to be this week.
Yeah, probably.
And we sat down. We both made a list of our 10 most influential games for us personally. Games that we've enjoyed a lot through the years. Changed the way we play. Different types of games that we like to play that just speak to us in one way or another is probably the best way to say it. But do you want to go ahead and start us out with your number 10?
Sure. My number 10 is Pokemon Red. I could still to this day sit down and full clear Pokemon Red, not care. I don't. There's just so much nostalgia tied to that.
Yeah.
And like once you've played one Pokemon game, you could play any of them. It doesn't really matter the story. You just kind of have it. But when I was a kid, I was in love with Pokemon in general.
Oh.
So I mean that may have not helped very much either.
Everybody loved Pokemon. All right, I don't care who you were, unless you're like a Digimon fan. But
I am a Digimon fan as well.
Oh, are you?
But I am. But I don't. It just didn't get the push that Pokemon had.
No.
Like up until a few years ago, I still remembered the Pokerap. If anybody's old enough to remember that.
Yeah, I was part of that what felt like a select group of kids in high school that played Pokemon. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. Because it didn't really start to hit until I was in high school.
Right.
So, yeah, I had my Pokemon card binder with me, and I was weird. Like, I didn't keep Pokemon card decks together when the card game came out. I had all my cards in a binder, and they're like, "Hey, you guys want to sit down and play a game?" And I would just build a deck right there, which as anybody knows who's played any other card game with me before, is not uncommon for me. Oh, you guys want to sit down and play? Okay, I'll build a deck. Hold on.
Yeah,
I got a deck list right here. Just give me a second to sleep them, and we'll go.
Yep.
There was a point where one time me and Chris were going to F&M like every other week, and every other week I played a different deck.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. I was just, I don't know, I've always been weird that way. I never like to be tied down to one thing, I guess.
I mean, I don't really blame you there.
Yeah.
Pokemon still does
Pokemon
good.
Yeah, that's
Pokemon still does Pokemon good. It's been what, 2-3 decades now? How long has Pokemon been making games?
25 years now?
Yeah, almost. So we're going on 3 decades.
Yeah.
I mean, they still have their formula down. They still know their niche.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still rocking it the hell out. I feel like Pokemon will be a game that we play until like 30 years from now. There's probably going to be a random Pokemon game because it won't
Absolutely.
die. Same thing with Mario. Like Mario won't die either.
Yeah, it's weird. For quite a while, it's been, they kind of had their formula of like, this year they'll release the 2 main games, and then the next year they'll release the 3rd game of that series. It's like a mixed match of the other 2. But it seems like that formula's changed now, where, last year we got Sword and Shield. This year we got DLC for Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
And then I'd imagine next year we'll get a new game. Which I kind of like that formula.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah. I mean, they fill the lulls, like the gaps in their content very, very well.
Oh, yeah.
They always have.
So, my number 10 was the one that you were intrigued about when we were talking about lists, because I didn't say the names of any of my games, but I did say what consoles they were for, and I was like, yeah, there's one Game Boy Advance game on there.
Yeah.
And it's The Legend of Zelda and the Minish Cap.
Okay.
So, that game, I've beaten that game, I'm going to guess, about 25 times.
Wow.
Yeah. And still to this day, like, on my cartridge that's in my closet, there's that top save is always a 100% completion. And that game,
That's awesome.
That game was very weird, too. Like there was all kinds of collectibles, but you could screw them up. Kind of like there was these what they called keystones, and you would find half a stone, and you would have to find somebody else that had the other matching half of that keystone in the world, and match stones with them, make a complete keystone, and then you get like an item or something for it.
Right.
And needless to say, that was a pain to do.
It sounds terrible.
Well, but I enjoyed it though. It was weird. I just enjoyed just grinding away. Oh, hey, another keystone. What is that one? Yeah, that one. I don't need that one. All right, yeah, just keep going. Me and my little Game Boy Advance Micro that I'd carry around. I carry it around whenever I worked at Dow Chemical. I carried it in my pocket. I just play a little bit.
That's cool.
Go turn on the valve. Spill some chemicals on the ground. It'll be all right.
No, Jesus.
But no, that game it's just a fun Zelda game in which it's not the only Zelda game on this list. I'll be perfectly honest with you, but it is one of the ones I enjoy the most. And it's funny whenever I mention that game to people are like, "Oh yeah, actually that one is really good. I haven't played that one in a long time." And I'm like, "Well, I have. I play it about once a year, easily."
Well.
Yeah. But yeah. So, what's your number 9?
Oh, so this is a weird one, man. Anybody who watches this is probably gonna think I'm crazy, but Road Rash. Don't judge me.
No, I'm not judging you. I just think I think it's actually a great pick. It just kind of, it's one of those weird out of nowhere games,
Road Rash, like original Road Rash, not the fucking horror show of a remake they did.
Yeah.
Or I don't even know who that company was. I'll probably never know because I'll never look at that game again. Yeah. But original Road Rash is something I could still load up today, play for 6 hours, and just have the time of my fucking life. And maybe that's kind of why I dig Rocket League so much, is because it's fast. I don't know, but there's just something about the simplicity of Road Rash racing at 180 miles an hour on a very lo-fi game and kicking and beating the shit out of people with bats and chains that just like calls to me. I don't know what it is. When they said they were going to remake it, I got like the most excited I had been for a game release in a long, long time, and then it was just garbage. Like I wonder if they have that for the Switch. Like, can I download the old ones?
I was looking here to see. Like, those are owned by EA.
Oh well, I'll never play them again then.
Yeah. Road Rash on the Genesis. Road Rash 3, Road Rash 3D, Road Rash 2.
In my opinion, Road Rash 2 was the best.
Road Rash video game PS4. Oh no, that's that new one.
Yeah, no thanks.
PC. You might be able to go to like GOG. It looks like, because they carry a lot of old games, so it did have an old PC release back in the day. So if anybody were to have it, it would be GOG. Man,
yeah, getting that to work is gonna be fun.
Well, with GOG, it's usually not too bad of a problem.
We'll have to talk about that more later, because I don't know what GOG really is.
It's like Good Old Games, is what it stands for. Yeah, GOG.com. They tend to carry a lot of those old games.
But no, all in all, Road Rash is just like one of those games that I could just sit down, play mindlessly, not have a care in the world, and just feel like I'm in the 90s or like early 2000s, I don't know. It just holds a special place in my heart.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what these lists are,
Yeah.
Let people know a little bit more about us and the type of things that we enjoyed. But my number 9 is a game series we've already talked about today, and that's Resident Evil 4. So to me, that is like the pinnacle of that series. Like,
Oh yeah.
to me, you know, it's been one that I've beaten it quite a few times, and I've never gotten such a at that point when that game came out on the GameCube, and I sat down and it was one of the first times like a demo became big and popular. Like there's the only other time I can think of a demo being big before that was the Metal Gear Solid 2 demo that came with Zone of Enders.
Yeah.
And but like people were giving it out, they were giving it out for pre-orders at GameStop. Like you could mail away, you could go to Capcom's website and put in your information and they would just mail you one. Like those discs were everywhere. But and you got to play it just like the opening village is all that was in the demo.
Right.
But I just remember playing it for a couple minutes, like, all right, this is neat. And went up into one of the buildings. You know, a bunch of villagers were outside the building. I went up into this 2-story house, and I remember hearing a chainsaw, and I'm like, you know, that sounds like it got close, but I don't see a dude outside anywhere with a chainsaw. And about that time, I turned around, and there was the chainsaw dude, and he just cut my head off. And that was one of the first times I ever remember putting down a controller and just walking away from the game for like 20 minutes and just going to go get something to drink and being like, oh man, well, that was fucking terrifying. Well, let's go give it another go.
You had to take a lap.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I basically just had to take a lap on that one and be like, wow, yeah, no, that's...
But you know, I feel like that game would be in a lot of people's top 10 most influential. Like, that game really set everybody's expectations of what a Resident Evil could be.
Yeah.
I know it's Beth, it's her favorite Resident Evil of all time. She loves that game.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I've owned it multiple times since then.
Right.
I played it on the GameCube. I played it on the Wii. You know, the Wii had the motion control version.
Yep.
I always thought that was neat. I owned it on PlayStation 3. I owned it on PlayStation 4, and I own it on my Switch. So,
wow.
Yeah. So, needless to say, I've played that game a couple of times.
It's one of the only ones I haven't played.
Really?
Yep. I played 1, 2, 3, and 5. I played a little bit of 7.
So, I think the actual order I played them in was 2.
Mm-hmm.
Then remake of 1 on GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
0, 4. Oh no, I skipped Code Veronica. Code Veronica was in there too. Actually, Code Veronica was the second one in the series I ever played on the Dreamcast. Yeah, so
okay.
It was like 2 Code Veronica, remake, 0, 4, 5, 6, then 3. No, so I didn't play 3 until late. I watched somebody play 3 when 3 came out. I didn't have any interest in playing it. It just, I don't know.
The first Resident Evil I ever played was the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember renting it from an old place down in town that was behind a gas station. And we rented it for a weekend, and it was the director's cut of the original.
Yeah.
And I remember my brother and I just sitting on the bed playing it. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, that series has always had a little place, in my heart. I always play all of them eventually, I still haven't played 3, the remaster of 3 yet. And if things are going the way they're going, then I would fully expect next year or the year after to get the announcement of a 4 remake, and that's when I'll just lose my mind.
I hated the remake of 3
Yeah.
because 3 is my favorite.
Yeah.
So I'm super upset about it.
But I will say the remake of 2 was awesome, I thought.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so I played 2. I played a little bit of it on PlayStation. I actually didn't play through it until it came out on Dreamcast. Because I was a Dreamcast kid. And I also played through it on PC back in the day, too. One of those old Kazaa download versions. With like a missing texture occasionally. And
It's good times.
you know, when I started talking about it, and I remember like the day that I went and picked up Resident Evil 4 and stuff, it was crazy because it was the same day that I picked up Minish Cap, number 10 on my list. Like I bought those 2 games the same day. They came out one day apart, but I bought them the same day. But yeah. So what's your number 8?
Oh, so number 8 is another old game, Donkey Kong Country 2.
Oh, yeah, I know this one very well.
It's I don't know. I love this game more than any Mario I've ever played, more than any Sonic I've ever played. I don't know. I just have like a weird special place in my heart for DKC 2. Like I've thought super hard about speedrunning it because I love it so much, but the speedrun is a little long for my taste. Like
how long is it?
Like over an hour.
Oh wow, really?
And that's the fastest. Like so I'm gonna be like 6 hours, like Jesus. But I don't know.
No, I was gonna say I am curious. Why 2 over 1?
I don't know. I just I think 2 was the first one I'd ever played, so it was like the first one I ever really fell in love with.
It makes sense. The original Mario games were the same way for me. Like,
right.
I ended up like I've played 1 at friends' houses and stuff before, but I played 2 was the first one that I owned, so it's the one I enjoy more.
Right. I mean, that's the same answer I had for this is going to be the same answer I have for another game down this list. But no, I can still listen to the underwater theme of DKC2 and just have a blast.
But yeah, no. I mean, did you ever play 3? Out of curiosity.
Yes.
See, I've still yet to never play 3. I think it is on the SNES Classic. I think 1, 2, and 3 are all 3 on there, but I've never played 3.
I need to find one. I probably never will, but I would really enjoy to pick up one.
Yeah. It's funny they still randomly show up around the holidays.
Right.
And the NES Classic is way easier to find now than the SNES Classic. So.
Right.
And we never got that. We never got our Nintendo 64 Classic that I wanted so very bad.
I wonder if they're still thinking about doing that.
I mean, I would hope so. Like, to me, like, I've already set up how they make a crap load of money. Because, you know, I think that they would be worried that they would make it. They would probably have to charge, like, $140 for those because of the controllers and stuff on them. And they'd be worried that they would just be a bunch of them sitting on shelves. But I'll tell you exactly how you get collectors to buy a bunch of them. You do the Funko Land clear ones. You do all those colors back.
Yep.
That's how you do it. You want a collector to go out there and buy 6 of them. Make the different colors.
Yep.
And that's coming from a guy that has 2 of the Funko ones in the top of his closet. I've got Jungle Green and Ice Blue in the top of my closet.
Oh, the Ice Blue one was beautiful.
The Ice Blue one I have a controller for. It's like pulling teeth to find a original. I specify original.
Right.
Nintendo 64 Jungle Green controller. My sister has one and she won't let me have it because she has a Jungle Green Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was her original. Like, she had that one. It came packed with Donkey Kong 64. Like she was set from there on out. But back then I just had a regular gray one. It wasn't until years later that I got the others.
Right.
But no, back to Donkey Kong. Like I'm weird. Like I'm off on tangents today. But
I'm super for it.
no.
But yeah, I don't have a ton more to say about it. It's just another one of those games that if somebody like showed up and was like, "Hey, you want to play DKC2?" I'd be like, "Absolutely, I want to play DKC2."
Yeah.
I don't know. Just had a big impact on me. That might be why my love for Celeste is so big, is because it's the same type of platforming, but it's not as efficient, I guess you could say, as Celeste, or as well put together, but we're talking like decades.
Yeah, we're talking 20 years.
Yeah.
25 years at this point, yeah.
But no, that was my platformer of choice. It still will always and forever be.
Alright then. So my number 8 is actually a more like a last gen game. And everybody knows that I love the Assassin's Creed games. Like I'm big. I complete all of them. You know, just grind every last one of them out, and I have. The only one I have never completed is Revelations.
Okay.
So, but Assassin's Creed Brotherhood is my favorite one in the series.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So it just, one was okay. Like you can see the blueprints for what Assassin's Creed could be with one, and two improved on that, and then I think Brotherhood improved even more on what two was. Even though a lot of people are like, oh, it felt like just a weird DLC. I was like, no, that game is bad. And like, there's so much difference, and the ability to recruit assassins at that point and level them up and send them out on missions. And one of my favorite things to do was just walk around, find a group of guards, call in my assassins, and just stand there while my assassins kill all of them and just disappear into the weirdest places, like into a haystack or down a well.
Yeah. Right, you just walk away like a badass and you didn't touch anybody. Yeah,
exactly. But I remember taking a picture with my phone years ago of me having like 150 hours of game time in Brotherhood. When people were like, you could finish like the main story and most of the side quests in about 30.
Yeah.
And here I am, and I wasn't playing the multiplayer either. Like it has a couple of multiplayer trophies. That's the only reason I don't have the platinum, because I didn't enjoy the multiplayers in those games. But man, did I just loved getting it. I'd get on there every day, check on my recruits, check on the missions I did, just every day. I made sure I logged in almost every day. Until, I just finally got to the point where I was like, okay, I have to move on. There's literally nothing else for me to do.
Yeah.
But
it's a desolate world now. I've done everything.
Yeah. Like the only thing left for me to do is to run around and kill the same guys I've killed 1,000 times now. But so yeah, that was my number 8. So
yeah, my number 7 is World of Warcraft. As much as I want to act like I hate this game and hate what they've done over years, I've been around since vanilla. I started this game in vanilla, and I played consistently through Wrath, took a break, and come back. But I've taken a break many times, and I'm back playing the game again. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the allure of World of Warcraft is. But it's just got everything you want. Especially, and they just released Classic. So if you want that hard difficulty, you can have it. But currently, like, retail right now in my life has the better option. It's super casual. You don't have to like grind till blood runs out of your eyes.
Yeah.
Like you can just spend a couple hours a week and really do whatever you need on there.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people hate that, but I guess where I'm getting older and have more shit to take care of and not as much time. Retail is just super appealing to me. Again, and I've had a blast just leveling lately. It's just like super nostalgic. Because I've been doing it with a friend, and I don't know. It just reminds me of the old days of playing World of Warcraft without like grinding super hard to get to max level and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Just kind of like slow rolling it casually, and it's been a whole lot of fun. And I think WoW has to be on there for me as well, is because if I go into any new MMORPG, I'm going to directly compare it to the Titan that stood the test of time.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, well, this is better, or this is worse, or they could have done this differently, or they should have did this like this, because I have all this information from literally over a decade of World of Warcraft.
Yeah, that game's been around for 15 years now.
Yeah.
And like the closest competitors that they have in like longevity is Phantasy Star, which was almost exclusively to Japan until recently. He's been around for 7 years.
Yep.
And I think was it Final Fantasy 14 and ESO have been around about 5 or 6 years apiece. Like that's the closest anybody comes.
Yeah.
They basically have almost a decade on everybody.
And I still think I don't think they're as strong as ever.
Yeah.
But I do think Classic brought a lot of people back, and that was a great move for them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it was definitely. I enjoyed it like when we were all together, playing and grinding.
Right.
But I don't know, something about it never like. A friend of ours got me into the game during Mist of Pandaria. And I played for like a week. And I played a little bit when not this last expansion came out, but the one before that. That's the one where they put the demon hunters in. Yeah. So I played. Legion. Yeah, I played that one for about 2 weeks, and I spent about 2.5 weeks on Classic. I just never found never found what I enjoyed in the game. I never quite found the character class that suited me the most. It just never quite got there. Like, I see the appeal. I understand the appeal. Like, oh yeah, I want that item. I want to go do this.
No, I mean, I get that though. It's definitely not for everybody. Yeah. But like, I actually played at the beginning of this last expansion and forgot about it. I'd leveled 2 characters to max level for this expansion. Had no idea. Completely forgot about it. Yeah. So. Yeah.
See, I won this expansion in a contest. Like, I have the collector's edition in the top of my closet, and I don't think I've ever used a code or anything in it. So. But maybe, at some point, maybe I give it another go. I keep trying to say, there's got to be an MMO out there that I enjoy somewhere.
Right.
I have a bunch, I just downloaded ESO. I just downloaded, which I'm waiting for a patch that's still like 10 days away on Final Fantasy. And I just downloaded DC Universe Online, which is one I forgot to mention a minute ago that's been around 10 years.
Right.
So, or right at 10 years.
I hated ESO. But I also played ESO in the very, very early stages of ESO.
Yeah, for what I understand, they've changed a lot about that game. I think it was about 3 years ago. Like, they went in and overhauled a lot of stuff in that game. I remember
they needed it.
Yeah.
But I was broken as shit in ESO back when I played too. Like, I soloed dungeon bosses, literally soloed, no healer, because you can cross class, right?
Yeah.
So I would literally run around, blast the shit out of a boss, let it hit me once, kill myself, run away more, blast it. I would just run in a circle and just basically fucking kite it, and it worked.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I understand the appeal. I just like I've tried. Like I said, I've tried. Tried to let it get its grips into me, and I find other things. And sometimes the things I find that are weird that I put 900 hours into original Destiny, and I've got 800 hours in Destiny 2. But I'm ready to walk away from that game again for a while.
Right.
I'm waiting to see what this next content update is, but I'm always trying to find that thing that grabs me like that. But yeah. So my number 7 is a platformer. One I think we might have mentioned one time on the show before, and that's Jak and Daxter.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, still yet to. So I've played this game on PS2, PS3, PS Vita, PS4. And if they make a PS5 version or make the 4 version compatible with 5, I'll play it on there too. It's a game that I enjoy. I enjoy those open worldy, platformy collectathons that aren't too crazy. I'm not talking like I enjoyed Donkey Kong 64. I hated 100%ing Donkey Kong 64 because the grind was kind of ridiculous. But I can always sit down. Like I know where every precursor orb is in that game. I know where everything is still yet to this day. It's one of those games every couple of years I go back to it, I play it again, and I'm just as happy as I was the first time I played it.
Right.
It's just, another one of those good quality, and I enjoy, like, a good platformer. There's at least, there's only one more platformer on this list, but, to me, that, semi-open world-ish feel of that one appealed to me.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that like Jak and Daxter was that it needed a remake.
Yeah.
We talked about I think we did talk about that. I love that game. It's not on my top 10, sadly. But no, that game's amazing. I could definitely see why it's in your top 10.
Yeah. And when I was making my top 10, it felt like a lot of the games from my early childhood are like in 11 through 20.
Yeah.
Like all these games right now, any of these games that are in my top 10, if somebody was like, "Hey, do you want to play this with me?" I'd be like, "Yeah, let's do this."
Yeah.
But
I mean, the hard thing about that too is like if somebody was like, "Hey, do you want to play any game in your 11 through 20?" You're probably going to be like, "Yeah, let's play it."
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I know we both probably have games that we left off, left off of our lists. I'm sure, trust me, we've got plenty of time today. So, we've got some time to talk about quite a bit of stuff. But what's your next one?
This will probably have a whole lot of backlash as well. But DayZ. And the reason I love DayZ so much is simply because of the fact that it makes me want somebody to do that genre right. I have spent 16 hours a day playing DayZ. No bullshit. I feel like they did survival pretty well. The threat of players, let alone zombies that come through walls and glitch through doors and you fall off a ladder and you break your legs, like even if it's 3 inches. The game had its plethora of bugs, but the idea for that type of game is amazing to me. And that's why I've put so much stake in like Dead Matter. I really want that game to really do that genre right. And from everything I've seen, which we don't have a lot of actual like gameplay to go off of. It looks amazing. I still remember getting shot by an admin on DayZ because I was stealing his helicopter. Like it's just random shit like that that just makes DayZ fun. I also remember because it was one of the first games alongside Arma that you didn't really have nameplates over your head. Like you just had to know your guys by positioning and communication and what they were wearing. And I was always the sniper on that game. I was always like very able to judge drop and leading people. And just one particular memory, I was watching a firehouse, fire station. Fire station back then had great loot in it. And our buddy, I was playing with my buddy Dana and Timmy. And Timmy was very new to the game. And he comes running from the backside of the fire station. And Dana's inside the fire station. And I'm like, hey, Timmy, is that you about to run inside the fire station? He was like, I don't know. I was like, well, Dana, you have somebody about to... You want to calm down, pup? Thank you.
He really likes DayZ.
Yeah. And like we just kept asking him. He was like, I don't know what the fire station is. So as soon as he rounded the open gates, like I had told Dana the entire time, I was like, this guy is like about to come in this building. He literally mowed Timmy down. He was like, I'm getting shot. Like you should have said something, bro. We asked for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just good stories about that.
But, yeah, I mean, I imagine that's one of those games you enjoyed playing it with friends. You put a lot of time into it. But I will always say, like, whenever I watch fails videos and stuff like that, you will always see the DayZ clip of the guy that spent like 45 minutes on his stomach, you know, working his way across a field, and some idiot come running in screaming, bringing zombies in with him.
Yep.
You know? And every time I see that now, I was just like, yeah, that's why I probably won't play that game.
Well, it had a really bad hacker problem too. But like another funny story about that game, we had finally found a working vehicle, which was like incredibly rare, because you had to fix them and everything like that. And we had a hacker come and kick us out of the vehicle and steal it. Well, I mean, you know how hackers driving vehicles, they kind of like skid and fly and float. So Dana and I immediately recognized what happened and laid into it. Like, just fully, if we can't have it, this dude's not going to have it.
Yeah.
And we ended up killing a hacker by blowing our truck up. It was great. Blowing our own truck up.
Oh,
Sad
yeah.
day.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately familiar with the hackers in PC and PUBG. Like, they're a PUBG, man. At one point, they were bad.
Yeah.
They're like, I watched blood fly out of that dude's head. Like, I know I hit him. And he's not even paying attention that I'm here. Like, he didn't even turn to fire at me.
I still have clips on Twitch of hackers in PUBG. Like, people shooting me through mountains and stuff like that, so...
Which, I guess, you know, that did get better over time, but I don't really mess with it anymore, so...
Yeah.
But, yeah, DayZ, like I said, it was just one of those games I was always semi-interested in, and I just never happened.
Right.
And it feels like there's... That genre is incredibly flooded with things. Like, you know, you could name off 10 different games in that genre that people still play, that still have very active bases, you know. It's just a very overcrowded genre. It's hard, you know. Really, the closest, you know, I consider it to be the same genre. I don't know how you feel about it, but Ark. Yeah, you know, Ark is probably the one in that genre, or a PUBG that I put more time into. But
Right.
I know, like, I was watching a guy play. Apparently, Scum is still a thing. Like, Scum still has a very big base of people playing it.
Supposedly that game's gotten a lot better. I have it. I
Uh,
bought it
did
way
ya?
back in the day.
Yeah, I watched people play it, and like I thought there was things I saw about it that were interesting. I just,
Hmm.
you know, and I might own it. I don't know. You know how my Steam library is.
Oh yeah.
My Steam library is very large, and sometimes I'll be like, "Oh man, it'd be cool to have." Oh, I own that. So, yeah.
Never mind.
Never mind. All right, I'll put the credit card back in my wallet, and we'll move on. And not a day goes by that I don't get a notification that something in my Steam library or in my Steam wish list is on sale.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Like like I keep saying I'm going to buy Arma. Arma is on sale. It feels like every other week now. Arma 3.
yeah.
And I'm always like, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy that, and then I'm like, oh yeah, but I don't actually know anybody that still plays it. So I'd just be jumping in blind, and I was like, I know the controls are super advanced. So I was like, I need to find, like just a PDF or something that's got all the controls in it. And I found a PDF that a guy made that you could cut out and turn into like this triangle thing that has different controls on each side of it. And I was like, all right, that's like 150 controls. There's not that many buttons on my keyboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, welcome to Arma the hard way.
I played I don't know. I've played quite a bit of Armor 3.
Yeah.
Like the Anastasia stuff is super fun.
Yeah.
Like I would be down to play Anastasia again, by the way. Just a hint. I think I might know one or two more people that would be down, maybe three, to play Anastasia. Hint.
Okay.
So I'm just saying if you would
Just
want to
saying.
buy it.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll have to check this week's Steam sale then.
Yeah.
So that was what, your number 6, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because we once again jumped off the rails there, but that's
Yeah,
fine. I don't
yeah.
care. I don't care.
It's related though. I think all of that was kind of related to Daisy, so it doesn't matter.
yeah. It's all that same genre,
Yeah, yeah.
Like we said, there's a lot of games in that genre.
Too many.
Yeah, and it feels like every last one of them is buggy, to a point.
As fuck.
Yeah, because even though I said I played Ark a lot, like, that game is super buggy, still yet at this point. And don't even get me started on the Switch version.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Is it even playable?
No, it is
I didn't think-
literally unplayable. Yeah, and they stopped they don't patch it. They haven't patched it since about 2 months after I think it came out,
Wow.
and they stopped producing copies of it. So instead of fixing the problem, they basically ignored it. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But now it's one of the harder to find Switch games.
Why would you? I think I heard that too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you hear that? It sounded like a helicopter trying to land on the house. Somebody
It was wild.
flying an Apache through Boone County, I guess. Like, I don't know what's going on, but it's scary. But my number 6, to get onto that, I had a hard time with this one because I only wanted to put one game from this series on here, even though there's only 3 games in this series. There was 2 of them that were fighting for a spot on this list, and I decided to go with the original. So it's BioShock.
It's a great choice.
I absolutely love that game. It was it was one of those games. It was funny. Whenever I bought my PlayStation 3, I wanted to buy BioShock when I bought those other games, but GameStop didn't have a copy. And then about a month later, after I'd already finished Modern Warfare 2 and I can't even remember now what the other game was, even though I said it earlier. After I finished the games that I bought with it, except for Resident Evil, I finally found a copy and played through it, and I still have that copy, like with the one of the original printings with the slipcover, and it's just a favorite of mine. And it's another one of those things. I own it on PlayStation 3. I own it on PC. I own it on PlayStation
Right.
4, and it's out on the Switch now. And the first time I catch it on sale, I'll probably buy it on the Switch.
BioShock's one of the only games that I've beaten more than once. Normally I don't play through a game more than once. It's just how I am, but I don't know, there's something about 1 and 2 specifically,
Yeah.
that are, I don't know, they just set themselves apart from like anything else in that genre
Yeah.
to me. Um, I don't know. They're great. That's
Yeah.
that's an amazing choice.
Yeah.
I'm kind of upset I didn't think about BioShock.
Well, see, you mentioned 2, but 2 wasn't the one that was competing. Infinite was the one that was competing with it.
Really?
Yes, I absolutely loved me some Infinite. And every place that I own Bioshock 1, I own Infinite. So.
Right.
Yeah, Infinite, I just loved that whole aesthetic of the city in the clouds and
Oh yeah.
the songbird. Like, trust me, as somebody who didn't buy Infinite when it came out, and a buddy loaned it to me about a
Mm-hmm.
month after it came out, I was like, man. And then at that point, I started to try and find the Songbird Collector's Edition. And even at
Right.
that point, it was like $100, and I was like, I don't want to pay $100 for it. And now it's like $200, and I'm like, now I'll never own it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, but the original Bioshock, just that whole atmosphere of the underground sunken city, just the characters and that creepiness and the '50s music and
Oh
like
yeah.
everything about that game. I just loved everything.
They, in my opinion, probably did one of the best jobs ever of setting an environment and making you feel in that environment.
Yeah.
They really, that team over there really does great things with just environmentals, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
they're super
it's
good.
unfortunately they don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
They broke up after Infinite, but 2K owns the BioShock franchise, and there's been rumors for a couple of years now that they have a new team working on it. And I'd imagine some of the original devs are probably on that team.
You would hope.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see where they go with it next. I just hope they find another completely different direction to go with it. You know.
Oh yeah.
You know. And since I mentioned Infinite too, I want to mention that the Bioshock Infinite DLCs are probably some of the best DLCs ever.
Hmm.
Because you play as Elizabeth and Booker. Well, you play as Elizabeth back on Rapture before everything goes to hell.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so it kind of fills in that time leading up to everything going bad in Rapture. And I always thought that was really cool because that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted 2 to be. Was set in the time where everything starts to go to hell. But 2 was set like I think 5 years after the first one or whatever. But I still enjoyed 2. But if I had to rank them, it goes 1, Infinite, 2. But
Right.
But yeah, definitely Bioshock 1 above everything else. So what's your next one?
What's that, number 5 now?
Yeah.
Rocket League. It's got to be on there. I think it's the only game I've put anywhere near this much time into. Like I'm right around 18 or 1900 hours now. I just can't stop playing it. Like I took a 1.5 year break from it last year. Like I started playing again last year, so the year before that I took a long break. But I just can't get away from it. Like it's a game I can load up and just have endless fun with friends on. And I think a big part of that's I don't take it as seriously as I used to. Like I found another reason to love the game. After my break, like when I took my break, I was just taking everything way too serious because it is a very highly competitive game, and that's what I love about it. And that it's unique, and there's no other game ever made like it, except for its predecessor. But I don't know. Like I'll grow old and tell small children the tales of Rocket League and
But,
how that game changed my life.
and they'll be playing Rocket League VR at that point. Competitive Rocket League.
That would be horrifying.
Competitive Rocket League VR. That's how it would be an esport. And
I'm for it.
And there'll be a big Dramamine sponsor.
Yeah.
Be like, to just take a handful of these, go out there and do your best. Like,
You'll be all right.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but you will.
Yeah.
That would be horrifying, though.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine getting demoed in VR.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. Like, what even happens at that point?
You just get dismembered, basically. Like,
Well, maybe it would do the thing, like, as your thing blows up, it kicks back out to the third-person view, and you just see your car explode, and then it goes back to the first-person view when your car, comes back. But that would be slightly disorienting, too, at the same time, I would think.
horribly,
Yeah.
you would think.
But no, yeah, I knew Rocket League was going to be on your list. It was when you were talking about you're writing down your list before we started, and I was like, Rocket League's on there, right?
I was like, nope. I'll put it on there now.
Because it was the one that truly surprised me, because I know how much time and effort and skill you've put into that game.
I don't know about skill.
Well,
but
I mean, it's compared to me. The
You're
guy,
not bad, you're just new.
the guy with like cement hands is basically the best way to put it anymore. The neurons and everything don't click in these hands no more.
Right? No, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, like I could do something like catch a football, but gripping a controller and doing a sharp turn or a precise flip ain't happening no more with these hands.
No, I get it. It's still rough for me.
Yeah.
I think I'm too old for that game because that game keeps progressing and it's so hard to keep up. Like the mechanics people use in that game just keep every year progressing, and I'm not good enough or young enough to really keep up with it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, oh man, I mean, let's be honest. Anything that's esportsy like that, like there comes a time where you just can't do it anymore.
Right.
You hardly see any esports players in their 30s.
Oh yeah.
Because by that point you've blown your hands all to hell.
Mm.
As somebody who played Counter-Strike back in Counter-Strike 1.3,
Yeah.
like back when I really enjoyed Counter-Strike before it was CS:GO, like I played with my keyboard pulled out of a drawer under this itty-bitty desk at college, and not even like one of those keyboard sliders. I'm talking about an actual drawer.
Yeah.
And my mouse had like the itty-bittiest little area to the point where I opened the drawer on the side of it and put a book on top of it, and that's how I played CS:GO, and I was a better CS:GO player then than I am now. So,
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's just one of those things, man. We get old. It happens.
Yeah, it does, sadly.
Yeah. But my number 5 is one of the... I didn't own a PlayStation 1. I had all my friends own PlayStation 1s. I owned a Nintendo 64. So the one game on that console that I remember more than anything else, and one of the few that I've beaten multiple times as it moved on to other consoles too eventually, was Metal Gear Solid. The original Metal Gear Solid. I love that game, with a passion, and I actually have an old PC version of the game.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it wouldn't work now, but that would be another one of those, how do I make this work on this now type deals. But
Yep.
yeah, I actually also I don't think I lost that in the fire. I have an original Metal Gear strategy guide somewhere, I believe.
This is blasphemy, but I've never played a Metal Gear.
No. I've heard people that have never played Metal Gear games before. There's some good ones out there. 2 and 3 was really when it got its big, broad appeal to a lot of people. And 4 was on PlayStation 3. Not a lot of people owned PlayStation 3s. And then 5 was kind of like the end of the series, and it felt like 5 felt like you wouldn't completely understand that game if you didn't play all the games before it. So, and that includes playing one that came out on a PSP. So, so yeah, I know that series wasn't easy to get into for people. So,
well, like I played the first area like 30,000 times because back in the day I had a
demo.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had one of those discs that come with like the game magazines that I picked up, which I bet anybody who watches that nowadays probably has no idea what I'm talking about. But yeah, I mean I love the first area. It was great, but I just never got the actual game.
No, it's just one of those first big story games that I ever enjoyed. Yeah. I'm big on a story, Like, yeah, I can go and grind out something sometimes, but man, tell me a story, And to me, that was one of the first big storytelling games that made sense to me. But I played it, played it with friends multiple times back then, and then when it got re-released on the GameCube, it was all over for me. Even though it is actually one of the GameCube games that I don't own. Like, I have a small list of GameCube games that I want for my collection, and it's at the top of that list because it costs more now than what it did at retail when it came out. So, but yeah, it's just I've always enjoyed that series, and to me, it always started off there, for me. But no, you mentioned those demo discs. The first thing that popped into my mind is back when the original Xbox was out. The official Xbox magazine every month had a demo disc, and like half the games you'd never heard of before. But what people, and I always thought that was cool, is they came in their own like cases. Like they came in it was a slim case, one of those super slim cases, but it had its own cover and stuff in it. And I collected and kept them every month. And at one point, I had like 50 of them at one point. But what a lot of people didn't know is every month there was a secret demo on those discs.
Oh.
And since that was the generation of getting vibration in your controllers and stuff, you could load into the game and sit on the title screen and input a certain button combination, and it would unlock that demo. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, but they didn't release the code combination for 2 months after it came out, so you could sit there and you could like press a button on your controller. Is my controller vibrating? No. Let me try this one. No. Okay. Oh, okay. So the first button's Y. Next button X. No, it stopped vibrating. Okay. Hit Y again. Is it B? No. Okay. I found the next one. It'd be like a 10-button combination.
Wow.
And I would just write them down on the inside of those covers all the time. I loved demo disc back in the day. It's one of those things I miss now. You don't.
Same.
Yeah, we rarely even get demos anymore. Like, they're few and far between. Like, we're more likely to get a beta than a demo. Especially for multiplayer games. But demo discs were a lot of fun back then. And I actually think I remember that specific demo disc, a friend having it. I think you could literally just play like that opening area, and I think when you crawled into the building, that was like the end of the demo or something like that.
It was.
No.
I remember that very, very vividly.
But what's the next one you got?
Super Mario World. And now it wasn't the first Mario I'd ever played, but like I don't know, I just kind of became infatuated with like the Star World.
Mm-hmm.
I think I think that was one of the coolest things in the world. Like it was kind of a secret inside the game that you never even had to even look at. And it was like and getting the colored blocks to fill space, like that was one of the coolest things in the world to me. It was just, to me as a kid, it was super innovative. I'd never seen like you basically build the world by completing objectives inside the game. I don't know. I'll always play that. I still watch speedruns of that. Like the credits warp speedrun of that game, I still want to attempt to do one day, but it's like pixel perfect, nearly impossible.
Yes.
But no, like I think that was the first introduction of Yoshi 2. And I fucking love Yoshi to death in that game. The different colors of Yoshi blew my mind. I don't know. All in all, just an amazing game. Again, if anybody would ever want to play that, I would super be down.
So yeah, that one I remember, and opening up the Star World, and for the longest time not being able because the first one is literally you walk in, you get the purple Yoshi, the dude drops the shell, Yoshi eats it, he becomes big, and you walk out the other side.
Yep.
I was like, for the longest time I didn't know that all I had to do was go straight up to get to unlock the next one. And I just used it as a place to go pick up a Yoshi.
Yep.
That's all it was to me for the longest time until I finally was like, went in there one day with a cape and just tried to, I was like, oh no, there's a ceiling. Okay. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. And then from that day on for like 2 weeks, I spent trying to figure out how to get through every last one of those. And then eventually accidentally, finding the middle Star World, the world inside that world.
Yep.
In the middle with the weird names, and then eventually beating those, and like it changes the entire game.
Yep.
Yeah, all the all the shells become like Mario heads.
Yep.
And all kinds of weird. I remember being like, "Oh my god, what did I do? Does anybody else in the world know this exists?" It turns out, yes, they do.
Right, but it was like the one. It was sorry. It was like the first game that ever introduced me to Easter eggs.
Yeah.
And like in any game I play now, you gotta look for Easter eggs. I don't know, man. Like just learning little things about that game, like where you can go back and farm lives so you stay alive, because there's a place in the second area that's super easy to get to.
Oh yeah. There's a little extra space there where you could go in, pop, get a Yoshi. Yeah, if you hit these two sides or these two sides. Yeah, I mean there's 1,001 different ways to make sure you have resources in that game.
Yep. I don't know, man. I think it was like the first game that really like grabbed me and made me want to play all of it and not blast through it.
Yeah.
So.
Accidentally finding the green power up by accident just by jumping one day and getting sucked up into the warp.
Right.
I was like, what? Oh, what's this? Oh, okay, that's how you fill those in. Yeah, that was, that's another one of those that's like 11 through 20 for me.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just a great game. And actually, yeah, you mentioned, that is the first appearance of Yoshi, but Miyamoto wanted to put Yoshi in 3.
Oh, really?
But the NES did not have the power to do it. Like
makes sense.
They experimented and tried to get him in there, but it didn't work, so they went a different direction. But yeah, I'm glad that they were. Super Mario World is just one of those great games. Everybody's played that game.
Right. Not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. It's true.
Sad. Everybody needs to.
Well,
listen. If anybody watches this and hasn't played it, I do not condone emulators because that's stealing. But figure out a way to play Super Mario World.
Well, I was going to say, if you have Nintendo Switch Online, it's on there.
Yeah, so get it.
$20 a year, guys. Come on, $20 a year. I mean,
enjoy it, man.
And they add new games to it every month.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they're weird, like stuff that like I don't even remember playing this, and like I had some weird games back in the day, but you know.
That just do they have Zombies Ate My Neighbors on there?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think that's on because that was a SNES game, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's on the on there or on the SNES Classic. I had to click.
That's upsetting. That game was great as well.
Yeah, and actually, if I remember correctly, that game is expensive.
I could imagine. I didn't know LucasArts made this.
What?
Apparently, the initial release date was July 19th, 1993. The developer was LucasArts.
For Zombies Ate My Neighbors?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Isn't that? Wait, hold on.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, this game is a little bit expensive.
Yeah, I don't see it on the SNES Classic either, or Mini.
I found it on Amazon.
Oh no, I'm talking about like if it was one of the games in the SNES, you know.
Right, no. It should be.
Yeah, I was actually surprised by it. Close that. All right. So my number 4 is another Zelda game. One that when it came out, a lot of people were super upset about it because they thought it was too cartoony.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah. It is Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker.
Yep.
Man, did I love this game. Man, do I still love this game. So much so that I have the hard-to-find Wii U Zelda Wind Waker edition, like the actual console,
Right.
in my closet. Yeah, that like it was funny. I had just sold out of Magic at that point. I was like, I'm done. I'm not playing anymore. About 5 years later, I came back for a year, but that's a different story.
It happens.
Yeah, but PS4 was out at that point, but it was super hard to find. And I was like, "Now I'm gonna buy a Switch, or not? I'm gonna buy a Wii U. Like you watch, some cool stuff's gonna come out for the Wii U." And I specifically wanted that edition of it. I was like, if I can't get that edition of it, then I'll try to find a PlayStation 4. But that's the edition I want because it not only was it cool like that, but it also came with the HD remaster of Wind Waker.
Yeah.
And I have a 100% complete file on there, and I think I have 2 other files where I just ran around and did stuff. It's just one of those games that I enjoyed, and I actually own 2 copies of it for the GameCube. So, but yeah, it's just, and I loved the graphics. I love cell shaded graphics. I absolutely dig them in big bad ways. But yeah, that game spoke to me on a high level. Like it was the first game I ever got for my GameCube. So
that's cool.
But what is your number 4? Or wait a minute, we already did your number 4, didn't we? What's your number 3?
Yeah, number 3. Number 3.
I got lost.
It's gonna be a really odd game.
Uh-huh.
I don't think it's something that I could sit down and play again.
Uh-huh.
Or play a lot of, but I do feel like it inspired me to play the rest of the series as adamantly as I have. Because ever since this, I've beaten every campaign that this series has had.
Uh-huh.
That's Grand Theft Auto 3. Grand Theft Auto 3 like sucked me into a world that I had no idea was possible in video games, to where you could just do whatever the fuck you wanted, have the most fun ever. And then like the ones that have come after that, like San Andreas, Vice City, 4 was amazing, and 5 was amazing. They've really improved with storytelling through their series. They've improved everything about the game. in their tenure of making the series. I'm super excited for 6 because I'll play the campaign. I probably won't do much other than that, but I'll play the story. I don't know. That's kind of like my. It's kind of like how I feel about, or how you feel about Assassin's Creed is how I feel about Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Like, I'm super into those games. I will play every one they ever make from now until forever.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, those games were a lot of fun. I've actually never played San Andreas, and I don't think I completed the story on 4. Like, I played a good amount of 4, but I don't think I completed the story.
Listen, you gotta play San Andreas because you gotta hold down Grove Street. Then you gotta play 4. 4 was great too. Good old Nico.
Yeah. Yeah. Every time you're going out to do something, your cousin calling you. Want to go bowling?
No, I don't want to go bowling.
No.
And then he gets mad.
One of my favorite things to do though when I was playing it was when you get to the point where you can start going out on dates with people and picking up girls in helicopters.
Oh,
and,
yep.
And they would just act like it's just you're just getting in a normal vehicle.
Yep, normal everyday life.
It's perfectly acceptable in fake New York to just pull up in a helicopter to a girl's house and pick her up for a day. You know?
I mean, I would be surprised, but I wouldn't have anything bad to say about it. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But, no, going back to 3. 3 was a lot of fun. It was weird, like, me and my buddies would get together and we'd play and, turn on all the cheat codes and do all the crazy stuff. And, like, when they were not around, I would be, all right, let me go do a couple more missions and stuff. Because it was funny. When it first came out, I still didn't have a memory card for my PS2. I had just, like, gotten one. And I had the money. I could either get a memory card or Grand Theft Auto, and I bought Grand Theft Auto. Yep. So every day would start with us playing the first mission, because you had to play the first mission before you could really get out into the world. Yep. And then turning on all the cheat codes and just going out and shitting on everything.
Funny story, I had the same issue with the original Spyro. I did not have a memory card, so I left it on. I left the PlayStation on until I could beat the game.
No.
So.
I love the original Spyro. Well, I didn't play the original Spyro then, but I played it now. I have a newfound respect for that game. So.
Good game.
But yeah. So my number 3 is another platformer. Oh. And to me, it's like when you think of platformers and where they are now, it's what started it, and it's probably the biggest platformer in the speedrunning community, and that's Super Mario 64.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I own 2 copies of that game also. And I own a Japanese copy that I picked up at a flea market one time for like $3.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, sure. I'll just laugh my way all the way out of here. And then I own a loose copy because unfortunately owning boxed GameCube game or Nintendo 64 games is incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
Except for GoldenEye and Perfect Dark, which are the only ones I own in a box. And that GoldenEye box is nothing to look at. We'll just put it at that. It's in rough shape.
Right.
But back to Super Mario 64. Just like 3D platformers wouldn't be what they are now if that game didn't exist. Is how I always think about it. Really, platformers were kind of a dying thing there for a little while, especially in the early days of PlayStation. You just didn't have platformers.
Right.
They weren't a thing that existed. And really, 3D games in general took a big step forward when Super Mario 64 came out. And I still remember where every star is to this day. And I like noise when I sleep at night. And I have a YouTube playlist that is nothing but speedruns. And there's at least a dozen different types of Super Mario speedruns on there. Of 64. Just 64. There's probably another 2 dozen of different Mario games. Including World and Odyssey. But yeah, it's just it's one of those games I love, and I think we mentioned in the first episode the rumor of next year's Mario's 35th, or like at the end of this year starts out
Yeah.
35th anniversary, and they're supposed to be like not complete full-fledged remakes, but like remasters coming to the Switch, and that
Yep.
could be one of them. All right, that's a day one purchase for me. Like I'll play that game over and over again. I don't care, Even though it took me like 5 years to get my first 120 star in the game,
Right.
Because I sat at 119. I probably sat at 119 stars in that game for over 3 years,
Wow.
and just did not know how to get the other one. And then finally one day I got my Nintendo 64 rack out, and I was like, oh yeah, I never did get the last one, and I went through all the ones I had, and I was like, all right, I'm missing like one of the. There was a secret one when you go all the way up to the top level that like you jump through one of the walls going up the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
Did not know that one existed for years.
This is also blasphemy. I've never played Super Mario 64.
I'll let you slide on Metal Gear, but man, Mario.
Well,
no. But
to be fair,
yeah.
though, I probably know more about Super Mario 64 than other people who have never played it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because the speedruns for that game are top tier.
Mm-hmm.
They're so fun to watch. And most of the runners are like very educational about
Mm-hmm.
that game too.
Yes.
So I enjoy watching the game be speed ran.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's how you could say that.
Yeah.
But if it does get remade,
Mm-hmm.
I will buy and play it.
I hope so. I hope it does.
I will. I promise.
No, I'm just saying. Just in general, I hope it gets remade. I'd love to play it again in nice new HD shininess. Yeah, I'm usually not a person that cares about graphics, but setting up my Nintendo 64 and trying to find a port to plug it into my 4K TV might be a problem. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those games I can play over and over again, and I think 3D games took a big leap forward after that one. But
Oh yeah, and like you said, it was like the first real like 3D platformer.
yeah. So what's your next one?
Halo 2.
Oh.
Halo 2 is the reason I still even have interest in first-person shooter games.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I don't know, I would say I have over 3,000 hours, not in the remake, but in the original Halo 2.
Mm-hmm.
The glitches in that game that were like family-friendly glitches that wouldn't like fuck competitive up, that you could hop in a custom lobby and spend hours upon hours upon hours doing with your friends, like launching a tank with a wraith or super bouncing out of a map and just going exploring. I think that game was the first time I'd ever really been outside of a map on a game. And it made me have like this odd obsession with finding glitches in games. Then I still have that odd obsession. But no, there's just something about Halo 2 that like just sparked me. And it was like the first game I had played MMO, like online with a bunch of people. It was my first introduction to online gaming and the prospect of what online gaming could be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think that's it. I think it's just that it was my first introduction to online gaming.
Yeah, no, I mean it was for absolutely a lot of people. Because really, Xbox Live wasn't great and up and running when Halo launched. You could only do the LAN in the original, so yeah, I remember couch co-oping that with 4 people all the time. I actually, when I was thinking about it, I always recall back to this party when I was living in North Carolina. I was living down there when Halo 2 came out, and a bunch of people in the house were all taking turns playing Halo, and I'm gone. There's no other way to. And I'm sitting here playing Halo, and I'm barely keeping my eyes open. Like I am barely in this world,
Struggling.
and like there's one point I know that I heard somebody else say, "Is Joe asleep and playing the game?" And they were like, "He's still moving in the game," and they always the people that were there always would bring up that I killed somebody with my eyes closed, like gone, with a sword. Like no greater feat in the world than just being not even in this world and taking somebody out with a sword in that game.
Oh yeah.
And then, you know, I tried to get family into that game. Like, my sister, my brother-in-law, and my dad, we all sat down and did 4-player one time. And they were like, we don't want to play this no more with you. But then, you know, like, in my group, I was of friends, though. I was one of the, like, mid-tier players. And then I got into another group of friends later on, right before Halo 3 came out. And we were playing it on the 360, you know, playing Halo 2 on there. And they would just own me. You know, so, but yeah, Halo 2, I absolutely, and that was one of those, the few times that, you know, the twist in games, the character switch, like, a lot of people were negative on that, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed getting to play as the Arbiter. Some of my favorite missions in that game are the Arbiter missions, so.
Right. But yeah, man, Halo 2 is just that special place in my heart.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm actually super excited for you to hear my number one, because I think it's the hardest curveball that you probably wouldn't expect from me. And if we have any viewers and they know how I am by now already, just the games that I've mentioned, I don't think they'll expect it either.
I'm gonna take a guess and say that it's Epic Mickey 2.
No.
No.
Great guess.
No, it would have been weird to have been like, you son of a... No.
Son of a bitch.
I was trying to remember the Mickey Mouse game on the Genesis. I was like, what was that? Castle of Illusion? Was that it? I think that...
Fantasia?
Yeah. But we'll find out here in a minute. But my number 2 just recently had its sequel come out. And we've talked about it on the podcast.
Yep.
And that is The Last of Us. So I ended up getting early access to this game back when we were doing the original show back then, and it wasn't through Sony, it was through a very shady video game store. And he was like, hey, I already have mine in. And he was like, you want your copy? And I was like, I do. I legitimately do. And he's like, well, since you've already paid, I'll just go ahead and give you your copy. It won't be that I've sold you a copy early. I won't ring it through the register until release day. And I'm like, all right, that works. Thank you, Shady Man. And I went home and I played the introductory section where his daughter dies. And just being like floored. And it was I mentioned one of the other times before where I just had to put down a controller. And I was living in this little apartment, and luckily my refrigerator was in my living room because that's how small my apartment was. And I just walked over to my refrigerator and I got a beer and I drank a beer and just sat there and thought about what I just played. And that happened a couple of times during that game. Man, did I love that game. But yeah, it was a game that weared on me, though. After, like, it's a very emotional game, and you get to the end, and you're sitting there trying to fight back tears at that point. They were rolling, but I acted like they didn't exist, and it just emotionally gripped me. It was one of those games I was just like, yes, this is why I own a PlayStation 3. Because, you know, almost all my friends at that point were Xbox gamers, and I didn't have an Xbox.
Right.
They're like, oh, you gotta get an Xbox. Like, I chose my side here, guys. All right, I'm sorry.
But no, I completely agree with that. It was one of those games that really showed you this is how deep a video game can dive into yourself. Mm-hmm. Like how much it can really immerse you and write that story and be more than just a video game. It's an experience.
Yeah, it definitely one of those games where I was just like, wow, yeah. And it's a game that I forced on a lot of people. Be like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, you have a PlayStation? Play this now. Play it. Trust me, it'll work out for the best. Just play it. And they'd be like, oh man, that was awesome. Yeah, I know. But yeah. So let's move on. Let's hear your number one.
All right, man. I don't think I've ever talked about this game with you.
Mm-hmm.
Which is odd because we've talked a lot of game stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But Neverwinter Nights,
Oh wow.
the original Neverwinter Nights with the 2 DLCs,
Mm-hmm.
Hordes of the Underdark, and I can't remember the other DLC. But I don't know, man. I have so many fond memories of this game. I was like heartbroken when they took the servers down for it. Um, just the D&D style of creating your character, being able to cross class, like there was no template for you really to make your character, but there was things better than others, and you had to do all this math and shit like that to make a decent character. The story was great. It like the original campaign, I believe, took place during like the Black Plague,
Mm-hmm.
which was awesome to play through. Um, I made a lot of friends from all over the world that I wish I could connect back with again and play
Mm-hmm.
that game. There was 2 servers I mainly played on. One was Lord of the Rings, um, RP-ish type server. All the armor, all the weaponry came straight from Lord of the Rings lore.
That's cool.
And there was another server I played on called Dex, DX like dexterity.
Yeah.
And that was just a full PvP with people who played guilds that corresponded with their alignment.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you were like neutral good or something, you had to be in a good guild that protected people and helped people, stuff like that. I didn't. I played in a guild known as Legion, and we were chaotic evil. Um, and I don't know, man. Just some of the best times of my early years were playing this game. It showed me what RP was. It introduced me into role playing in general. It introduced me into like really customizing a character and making something you could be proud of with like no help. It didn't hold your hand. I don't know, man. I still have, it's one of the very, very few games that I still have on disc in the original backs and everything. I still have the boxes of that shit. I don't know. It's probably the game I feel most nostalgic about and feel sad that it's gone most about. So
Yeah, it's funny. I was looking at it because I kind of remember it, and it was. I think I bought it at one point and never got big into it, but I seem to remember the Hordes of the Underdark DLC, like that picture.
Yeah.
And I think I bought some kind of edition. It was probably like the original and like the DLC at some point. But that's when they started to come in those smaller boxes.
Yeah.
I've still got 2 PC games that come in the boxes.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Mac.
Yeah, I have Half-Life.
Nice.
And I have Rainbow Six.
Nice.
Yeah. But but no, I remember that game. I played it some. Like, now, you know, there's like a free to play version. Like,
Yep.
is it very different than what it was back then?
Hugely different.
Okay.
And truth be told, I don't know if it was so much of the game that meant so much to me as it was that I found this server
Mm-hmm.
that was just home.
Yeah.
Like it was perfect.
Yeah.
Like everybody had their differences because we were playing different alignments,
Yeah.
but like everybody got along. It was like a family. You could get on there and talk to anybody. It didn't matter. Um, like I still remember people's names, and that was over a decade ago that I played with, and I'll never forget those people. Wish I could contact them now.
Yeah, it's always nice when you find that game and you have that kind of community of people to play it with.
Yep.
But yeah. So my number one,
Drum roll.
it will be a franchise we've already heard a couple of times on this list, and it's one of those games that when you hear somebody's number one, you're like, oh, okay. But it's still very much so for me to this day, and that's Ocarina of Time. I don't care.
See, when you mentioned Wind Waker earlier,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I was gonna be like, sorry, Ocarina of Time is.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you included.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's one of those games where it's funny though, the first time I ever played it, I had just got my 64. I just moved to North Carolina. A guy at school was like, "Oh, you got to play this game." All right. And I get through the first two dungeons and I get to Jabu Jabu's belly. And I'm carrying the princess around, and I throw her up on that platform. That platform's supposed to take off and lower back down. You have like the Octorok boss fight. And I would throw her up on that platform, and it glitched, and it just went up into the air and then never came back down. And I was so incredibly annoyed by the game at that point. And I would just, I reload it back up, try it again, and same thing would happen.
Wow.
I was like, because I guess I had saved after I'd sent her up.
Oh yeah.
So it was like she would still reappear every time, and I could put her back on the platform, but when it would happen, it would still never come back down. And just and I gave it back to him. I was like the game's broken or something. I couldn't figure it out. So then again, about a year later, at like a yard sale or something, we found a copy for like $10, which was obscenely unheard of to me, and I was like, you know what, I'll give this another go.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved it at that point. Everything worked for me that time. And I ended up borrowing a strategy guide from a friend back then to make sure I knew where every heart piece was. And it got to the point now where I could probably find, I'm going to say 85% of the heart pieces in the game without a guide right now.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's just, a lot of these games on this list, the things about these games just stuck to me. And
right.
I own the game digitally also on 3DS, even though I don't own a 3DS anymore. I still have a 3DS account. And whenever I get a new 3D, like I played through it a bunch of times on 3DS. Also, it's just one of those games that, and I own it for GameCube. Don't never forget that special edition GameCube disc that had it and the Master Quest version of that game.
Right.
Holy hell, is that hard. But yeah, it's just, one of those all-time greats, and yeah, I know it's on a lot of people's list, but man, for me, it's just, it's still, if they just announced a regular up-res for Switch tomorrow, I'd go pay $60 for it. Sight unseen.
Right.
It was the game that helped, it launched the 3DS. Even though the 3DS did launch poorly, it did launch it. But yeah, it's just, that all-time great game for me. So, but yeah.
I can't blame you there at all.
Yeah. And I could still, I think, it's been a couple of years, about 2 years, but I still think that the dungeon you need the lens of truth thing for, so you could see things on the wall and stuff. I could just about clear that without using it. And I know I can do the boss fight without it. Like I had the boss fight timing down so incredibly that I didn't need it for it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I always thought it would be that game I would speed run, and I watched speed run. I was like, Nah, because I feel like at a point when you're speedrunning a game, you could lose love for a game.
Yep.
And I love that game too much to, be like, ugh, I gotta do it again. Ah, oh, damn it, the glitch didn't work. I gotta reset. Nah, I don't want to do that.
See, a lot of people say run a game that you love, but the real ones say run a game that you hate or don't like or have no interest in, so you don't hate it at the end of your runs.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just another one of those great games. I'm sure it'll be remade at some point. They remade Twilight Princess. They remade Wind Waker. It only makes sense at some point we will get that Ocarina of Time one, and it'll be as big as the Final Fantasy remake when it came out this year.
Hopefully. I've kind of wondered why they haven't remade it already.
I mean, they technically did for the 3DS. Like, that's up-res graphics. It's on a new game engine. But, it would need a full, just a full, completely redone over. And I would wonder, at this point, because that game, like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff to do, but at the same time, compared to modern games, there's not a lot of stuff to do. Like,
I mean, yeah, but still, yeah. I mean, they like you said though, they could just literally remaster it. I don't even think they would have to remake it. They could remaster it and would sell 1 million copies probably the first weekend it was out.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, those are our list, and that's pretty much the show for this week for us. So I was going to go ahead and throw this out on the show. I think me and you mentioned this in text the other day, that it would be funny to do a list of the worst games we've ever played.
Yep.
And I think that will be something we do next week, if you're down for that.
For that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, dude, there are some deep cuts coming on this list for horrible games that I've played.
Yeah, like I'm a very blunt individual.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, game developers.
No, and the funny is, like, some of these games, like, when I say them, you'll be like, what game? I've never even heard of that game before. Like,
right.
Well, it came out on the original Xbox in a short print by such and such company and had cel-shaded graphics. And not that narrows it down. Like,
there's one game I want to mention, and I can't remember. Like, and it's not a bad game. It would be in my top 20. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember the name of it. I know that doesn't sound like a game that would be in your top 20. But, God, I think it came out for Xbox originally.
Mm-hmm.
It was...
Red Skies. Red Skies was a good game.
Well, I will do research and find it, and I'll mention it next week on, like, either beginning or the end.
Okay. But do you have a couple of things that you left off your list that were probably, like, this close, or...
Yeah, another odd racing game, Jet Moto. I fucking still to this day love Jet Moto.
That was an original PlayStation game, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And maybe it was just like me back then, because that and Road Rash, in my opinion, are definitely in that same niche genre. Although in Jet Moto you can beat the absolute piss out of anybody.
No.
Yeah. Jet Moto is a really good one for me. I didn't mention Spyro. Spyro, like I said, I played that entire game without a memory card and beat it. A game that's also on the original PlayStation that got me into Splinter Cell game and Hitman games was Siphon Filter.
Yes.
Siphon Filter was an OG game. There's probably not a lot of people that still remember that game. But that was like the first real sneaky-esque game. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure that came out after the first Metal Gear Solid,
Yeah.
but in my opinion, those games are a little different in how they went about gameplay. Um, but no, Siphon Filter's huge in my book. Probably top 20 as well. Um, that's the only ones that really come to mind.
Yeah.
You got any?
Yeah. So Sonic 2,
Oh yeah.
Super Metroid,
Oh yeah.
and like those are the two biggest ones that jump to mind. Actually, also sticking with Sonic Adventure for the Dreamcast, and Skies of Arcadia for the Dreamcast. It was a great like RPG that if they remade it, I would absolutely, or just made another one. Just make another one. You know, it's not that hard. People are making worse games all the time. But yeah.
I think I would have to agree with Sonic Adventure 2. That would be, or Sonic Adventure 2 would be in mine.
Yeah.
Just because of the chibis. Like, I cannot tell you the probably 1,500 hours I spent getting like an angel and a demon. So,
Yeah,
or the chows. Chows,
Yeah,
not
chows.
chibi.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, you said it wrong, and I just agreed with you. So I was like, yeah, those things. No. Yeah. Just working on your little memory card. Just.
Yep.
Oh. But yeah, those games were just a lot of fun. Just ridiculously fun. But I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. Like, I've mentioned just about all the Zelda games. Like, the only other one I think I would mention is Legend of Zelda 2 on the NES. And, you know, of course, there's always, like, the big, like, Mario 2 for me. I think I mentioned that in your Super Mario World. But, you know, those are just games that I love to enjoy. I know there wasn't like any like RPGs or anything on mine. Really, I never touched an RPG until the PlayStation 2 came out.
Right.
Like I watched a friend play through Final Fantasy 1. I never touched the controller, or not through 1 through 7 on the PlayStation 1. You know, I watched a friend play it. I never played it.
If I were gonna throw a Zelda game
Mm-hmm.
into my top 20, which I really dig Zelda games, but there's only one I put like a ton of time into, and that's the original. I love the original, and I think that's because one of my really good friends used to run it,
Mm-hmm.
and then he got me interested in running it. So I ran Zelda, or the original Zelda, for a little while now. I didn't get any like spectacular times or anything, but I did get under an hour. I got under 50 minutes too, which in my opinion, for like only 3 or 4 runs through the game, was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I love the original Zelda, and it's probably because I ran it, which is odd. Normally that doesn't happen.
Yeah. But now I always thought it would be fun to run Super Mario World 2. Or just, you know, a lot of people know, you know, that wasn't originally a Mario game. It was a game in Japan called Doki Doki Panic. But they thought Mario 2 was too hard for Americans, and they turned Doki Doki Panic into Mario 2.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's pretty much all we got for this week, guys.
Yep.
So you know, thanks everybody for watching, and like as per usual, the podcast will go up on YouTube on our YouTube on Mondays, and thanks everybody for watching.
Yep.
All right.
Take care, guys.
Later.